Welcome to this video message about being trapped inside and there's going to be more delay. Is that the way you're feeling? The great thing about this is that there's a gospel story or two that tells us exactly how to behave at a time like this. When Matthew wrote his gospel, the people to whom he wrote it experienced siege. They were locked inside in their city in very unpleasant conditions. And he wrote things or recalled things that Jesus had said 30 or more years previously that was relevant to them, either in their immediate future or their immediate past. And the story goes like this. Jesus said, "Who is the faithful and sensible servant whom the master will put in charge of his household to give them their food at the proper time? Blessed is that servant whom his master finds doing his job when he returns. But if the master gets delayed, and that servant begins to abuse the other servants, and to eat and drink with drunkards, then the master will come at a time he doesn't expect and will cut him in pieces and assign him a place outside where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." Not a good ending. Now, that servant was put in charge of some other servants. Maybe you're a parent and you're in charge of some kids, or you're in some sort of similar situation. But you're there and there's a delay, and time's moving on and nothing's happening. The barriers aren't going up. It's just same old, same old. And you're beginning to abuse them. Now, when you're in a different situation, you meet a different part of yourself. And sometimes it's not a pretty part. Let me tell you about me. In the first couple of weeks of lockdown, I was very stressed about my work. And I became anxious about our vulnerability to being infected. Now, I'm not normally a guy who's either stressed or anxious. But like I said, a different situation brings you face to face with a different part of yourself. Sometimes a part you don't like that much. And you can try to avoid this part. The man in this story, he avoided this part of himself by drinking more than he should have done. It's so easy. I mean, alcohol is just, it's there, but you can have one too many. And you avoid facing this part of yourself and saying, hey, I'm anxious, I'm stressed. I need to practice some self-care, rather than just avoiding it by taking it out on other people in my family, or by just being self-indulgent. And then the master comes and I haven't been doing what I should have been doing. Jesus went on to tell another story straight away. This is Matthew chapter 25. The 10 bridesmaids who were ready for the wedding feast, and the groom hadn't come yet, and he delayed. Wouldn't you know? There was a delay and a further delay. And it says 5 of them were wise and 5 of them were foolish. They all had lamps to keep burning with the oil in their lamps, but the wise ones took some extra oil, some reserve, to be able to top up their lamps later on, and the foolish ones didn't. And so while the groom was delayed, they all got sleepy. And then someone said, "He's here now, come on into the wedding feast." And they all woke up, and the wise ones used their reserves to top up their lamps, and the foolish ones had no reserves for topping up. So they said to the wise ones, "You give us some of your oil." The wise ones said, "There's not enough for us and for you. Go buy some." So they went to buy some, and when they were gone to the shops, the shutters came down, and they knocked on the door and said, "Let us in, let us in." And the groom said, "I don't know who you are even." Here's the deal. You got to keep something in reserve. You got to practice some self-care so you have enough for the moment and for the next moment, and that you're ready and alert for that time when the shutters go up and you can go back to what you've been waiting for. So the wise ones, they were ready when the time came. You be ready too. Don't just let it come upon you while you're sleepy and say, oh, what? It's back to life. Yeah, there are new days coming. Use your days of restriction to be ready for the days of liberty. Store up a bit and practice some self-care. If your nerves are getting frayed and your oil is going low and your lamp isn't burning so bright, practice self-care. Even if you're in a house with kids, find a way to get away for whatever you need. A half an hour of TV, some reading and prayer, a rest, whatever you need. Don't say, I don't get an opportunity. You must make an opportunity. You must plan it and make it happen. John and Charles Wesley, their mum Susanna had 19 kids, busy lady, but she practiced self-care. For a half an hour in the day, she would take her apron and throw it over her head. And that was her place. And she told the kids before she went in there, don't call me unless you're sick. And in she went for her half an hour. And one day someone came to the door. One of the children answered the door and the visitor said, is your mum there? And the child said, are you sick? No. Are you with someone who's sick? No. Mum's not available. She's having her half hour under the apron. Okay? So you must be deliberate. Create opportunities. Don't wait for them to show up. They're not going to show up. And the next story Jesus told was another one about delay. He talked about a man who called his servants and entrusted his possessions to them. To one he gave 10 talents, to another 5, to another 1. And then he went off. And when he was gone, the one with it wasn't 10 talents, it was 5. The one with the 5 talents went and traded with them and made 5 more. It doesn't say what he did, but he did something. He made something happen. You see, God doesn't want to micromanage your life. He's not going to micromanage your life. He's going to give you opportunity, gifting, and hey, you go make something with it. He has given you autonomy as a living being in this universe, not an automaton. He's got stones. He's got mechanical things that just obey him mechanically. You are called to be a being like him, a being with choice, a being who can practice love and initiative and imagination and make things happen. So the one with the 5 got 5 more. The one with the 2 traded and got 2 more. The one with the 1 talent thought, these are uncertain times. If I trade with the 1, I might lose the 1. I'll put it under the mattress. And so he just hid it and sat it out. And so the master came back and says, how did y'all get on? And the one with the 5 said, well, I got 5 more. And he said, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with little things. You shall be entrusted with much. Enter into the joy of your master. The one with the 2 came and says, I had 2, I got 2 more. And the master gave him exactly the same commendation, word for word. Here's the thing. It's not a question of whether you're a 5 talent person or a 2 talent person. It's a question of, will you do something with what you have? If you do, even though it's small, it will lead to a level of reward that's way beyond what you expect or deserve. And the one with the 1 says, well, I didn't do anything because I knew that, it might turn out badly. And the master said, you wicked, lazy servant. Wicked, I didn't do anything. I'm putting those words in his mouth. Yes, it's wicked not to do anything. You have got small opportunities maybe, but do something with them. Look, 4 days ago, I wasn't invited to speak at the United Nations. I was here at home, and there's a little girl I know down the road, and she's 7, and she was riding her bike without stabilizers for the first time. I saw this out the window, so I went out to my mat and I cheered her and I said, I see you! You are rocking that bike! How cool are you? And so that's the only opportunity I had that day to give encouragement or make a speech. So I took that small opportunity. 2 days later, I was walking along the road and I met her. She said to me, "I missed you." And I said, "I missed you too." And she said, "Because you're like a granddad to me." I was so privileged to hear those words. She doesn't have a granddad, but now she does. And so I had a tiny opportunity and I did something with it. Jesus calls us, says, look, you might be a 2-talent person. You might not get a big invitation or a big opportunity, but with your little 2 pence worth, will you do something instead of doing nothing? So while there's delay, let's be alert to the opportunities and responsibilities that are here present with us. Let's be practicing self-care and be ready for when we have bigger opportunity. And let's use what we have. Maybe you're not a famous speaker, preacher, encourager, but you could send a text to that person you know and say, "I'm thinking about you. How are you doing?" Whatever you have, whether it's small or large, use it. Use this time and be blessed. And the Lord be with you. Amen.